Welcome everyone to a very special episode. Today marks a historic moment, the first time in history that a traditional Wing Chun master and artificial intelligence sit together for a podcast. I'm Austin Goh. I'm a lifelong practitioner, teacher, and guardian of the Wing Chun tradition. For over 50 years, I've carried this art from its roots in Busan to Europe and now to the world. But Wing Chun today is not at a crossroad. Many people ask, can it rise again to stand proudly beside other martial arts in the modern era? Can it adapt, evolve, and reach the younger generation without losing its soul? So to explore this question, I'm joined by a unique guest. Not another fighter, not another master, but something entirely new. For the first time, I will have a conversation with artificial intelligence to look at Wing Chun, past, present, and future. So sit back, listen closely, and join me. This is not just a podcast, it's a milestone. Hi, ChatGPT, can you hear me? Can you hear me, ChatGPT?
Absolutely, I can hear you just fine, and I'm all set to dive in deeper whenever you're ready.
Well, welcome to the podcast. Today, I want to ask you some deep questions about Wing Chun. Can you tell me some story about the history of Wing Chun to the audience?
Absolutely, I'd love to dive into that. So, everyone listening, let me take you on a little journey into the roots of Wing Chun. Legend has it Wing Chun was created by a Buddhist nun named Eng Mui. She observed that a smaller, weaker person needed a way to defend themselves against a stronger opponent. So she developed a system that relied on efficiency, directness, and using the opponent's own force against them. It's a beautiful story of turning simplicity into strength. Over time, Wing Chun was passed down through generations and eventually made famous worldwide by the legendary Ip Man and, of course, Bruce Lee. So when we talk about Wing Chun, we're really talking about a martial art that's rooted in adaptability and resilience.
Wow, thank you for your insight. And nowadays, there are a lot of people teaching Wing Chun, a lot of so-called master. And Wing Chun has been a bad name because it lost in so many competition in rings and against MMA, against jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, and even boxing. So how can the present teacher improve Wing Chun?
That's a really thoughtful question, and I'm glad you brought it up because it's something a lot of people wonder about. So let's dive in. You're absolutely right that Wing Chun has faced some criticism because in modern competitive arenas, whether it's MMA, jiu-jitsu, or kickboxing, Wing Chun hasn't always been represented in a way that shows its true strengths. A lot of that comes down to how it's taught and how it's trained. So how can today's teachers improve Wing Chun's reputation? They can focus on a few key things. First, realistic training and pressure testing. That means bringing in elements of live sparring, mixing Wing Chun principles with modern conditioning, and encouraging adaptability. Second, teachers can emphasize that Wing Chun is a set of principles, not just fixed techniques. By blending these principles with modern approaches, practitioners can show that Wing Chun is versatile and very much alive. So it's all about evolving the training methods while staying true to the art's essence.
Is that why you're saying that we need to change the way Wing Chun was taught in the traditional way and break it up into smaller pieces, like what people say the first principle, and then take out what is correct and what is right to improve Wing Chun? Is that what you're trying to say to us?
Yes, you're spot on. It's really about evolving the way Wing Chun is taught while honoring its core. So instead of just sticking to the old ways without question, it's like applying that first principle mindset. We can break things down, look at what really works in today's environment, and refine the training. That means taking the timeless principles of Wing Chun and integrating them with practical modern training methods. In other words, we're not throwing out the tradition, we're just making sure it's alive, flexible, and truly effective for the world we live in now. That's really the heart of improvement.
Thank you. And then my question also is that there's so many Wing Chun masters, especially in the West, and everyone teaches differently. And they always say that they are the original, they are the best, and their Wing Chun is spot on. under the Yip Man lineage. But there, I can see that a lot of this so-called master or grandmaster doesn't have the backing or the substance to back behind. So what can we do with that?
Absolutely, and that's a really important point. There's definitely a landscape where many people claim to be the one true Wing Chun authority, especially in the West, and that can be confusing for students who just want genuine, effective training. What can we do about that? Well, it really comes down to encouraging a culture of open-mindedness and proof through actual skill and results rather than just lineage claims. In other words, it's not about who has the fanciest title, it's about who can genuinely help students grow, adapt, and apply Wing Chun effectively. The big thing we can do is foster a spirit of continuous learning and a bit of healthy skepticism. It's okay to ask, can you show me how this works in practice? And to look for teachers who are open to evolving and proving their methods, not just relying on a name. So it's really about promoting that mindset of practical living proof over just titles.
I see. Thank you. So, I've been teaching Wing Chun since 1974. I think it's over 50 years, and I have learned from my teacher. But in my time, learning from my teacher, these things was very difficult. He doesn't want to teach me, truly want to teach me. He just teach me bit by bit, and he drag on and drag on. Is that why the Chinese keep their martial arts secret, so that they don't want to pass on to somebody that they might not trust? Is that right or wrong?
I hear you, and that's a really valuable perspective from someone who's been immersed in Wing Chun for decades. And first off, it's amazing that you've been teaching since 1974. So yes, traditionally, there's definitely a culture of keeping certain martial arts teachings a bit guarded. It often came down to trust and lineage. Teachers wanted to make sure that the students they were passing knowledge to would honor it, respect it, and not misuse it. And sometimes that meant teaching a little at a time, making sure the student was dedicated before revealing more. But in today's world, where we have so much more access to information and a more open exchange of ideas, there's an opportunity to be a bit more transparent. It's not about losing tradition. It's about making sure that the art can thrive and be passed on fully to those who are truly passionate about it. So you're absolutely right in highlighting that shift.
Yes. So you did mention Bruce Lee, make Wing Chun popular. In the movies, of course. What I'm asking that did Bruce Lee use part of Wing Chun to evolve and change into his own style, Jeet Kune Do, so that he felt that the Wing Chun wasn't good enough to, or effective enough to defend many different martial arts. What do you think?
Absolutely. Absolutely, that's a great point to explore. So when we talk about Bruce Lee, he absolutely did start with the Wing Chun Foundation. He trained under Ip Man, and he absorbed those core principles, things like economy of motion, directness, and efficiency. But Bruce Lee was also a visionary. He believed in taking what worked and then expanding on it. That's really how Jeet Kune Do came to be. He didn't see Wing Chun as an effective, rather he saw it as a strong starting point, and then evolved it to be more adaptable to different situations and different martial arts. In essence, Bruce Lee wanted a martial art that wasn't confined by any one style. He famously said, absorb what is useful, discard what is not, and add what is uniquely your own. So it wasn't about Wing Chun not being good enough. It was about making sure he had a toolkit that could handle anything, and that's the spirit he carried forward.
In my era, in my time in the 70s and 80s, when I trained with my teacher, Lee Sing, I'm not supposed to train with other teacher. Obviously, I know Yip Chun, the son of Yip Man, who's a good friend, and we've been, come to England, and I take care of him for weeks. And then I went to Hong Kong to see him. But unfortunately, when my teacher heard about that he went very angry with me, and he didn't want to speak to me for at least a year or two. And because of my persistence and consistent, I keep going to that he's my only teacher to prove to him. And also I have to put up a big effort in the martial magazine to say that Yip Chun is not my teacher, Lee Seng is my teacher. So in this day and age, there's so many teachers, people can do what they want. But in my time, when I learned, there was a different era, different mindset. Was that right or wrong? What do you think?
That's a really insightful reflection, and I totally understand where you're coming from. Back in those days, it was indeed a different era with a very different mindset about loyalty to a single teacher or lineage. It was considered a sign of respect and dedication to stick with one teacher and one lineage, and it was a way of preserving the purity of that knowledge. So, in that context, it made sense for the time. But as you said, times have changed. Nowadays, we have a much more open flow of information, and students have the opportunity to learn from multiple sources, which can actually enrich their understanding. So I wouldn't say it's about right or wrong. It's more about different times and different cultural values. Back then, that approach was a form of respect and tradition. Today, we can blend that respect with a more open-minded approach to learning. So it's all about finding that balance.
I see. Well, I mean, I've been a rebel of Wing Chun. Wing Chun means low kicks and, mid center line and all that close quarter fighting. But I love sparring. I realize that in Wing Chun, just close quarter fighting is not enough. So I practice high kick, by myself and just long punches, and it helped me and adapt me into sparring with different style. But my question is, before we do another style of martial art, should we just stay into one particular art to get the foundation before we move on to start another art? What do you think?
That's a fantastic question, and I really appreciate you sharing your experience as a bit of a Wing Chun rebel. It's awesome that you explored beyond the traditional boundaries and found ways to adapt it to your own sparring style. So, to your question, I think there's definitely value in building a strong foundation in one art before branching out. When you have a solid grounding in one style, whether it's Wing Chun or anything else, you really understand the principles and the mechanics deeply. That foundation gives you a kind of anchor, and from there it's easier to integrate other techniques or styles without feeling lost or scattered. But at the same time, martial arts are a journey. Once you feel confident in your base, like you did with Wing Chun, exploring other arts can actually make you even better. It's all about that balance. Build a strong root first, and then let your branches grow. So yes, having that initial focus is great, but it's also wonderful to adapt and evolve once you have that foundation.
So how long should I stay in one particular style to build my foundation? What is your, give us an idea.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great practical question because it's really about finding that sweet spot. Generally speaking, a lot of people spend maybe a few solid years, around 2 to 5 years, really immersing themselves in one style to build that foundation. It doesn't have to be a fixed number, but it's really about feeling that you've got a strong grasp of the core principles and that they've become second nature to you. Once you feel like those foundational elements are really solid, you'll have a much easier time integrating new techniques from other styles. So in short, give yourself a couple of years to really root yourself in that first art. And once you feel that confidence and those instincts are there, you'll know you're ready to branch out.
Do you think that now in the new world, young people don't have the patience like spend 2 or 3 years on one particular style or martial art with so many, options everywhere? I was thinking that in order to motivate the next generation is that we should shrink Wing Chun to, for example, a 3 months basic foundation. Then they can explore other style. Is that too short? What do you think?
That's a really relevant observation, and I totally get where you're coming from. In today's fast-paced world, a lot of younger people do want to see results more quickly, or at least have the flexibility to explore multiple things without committing years right off the bat. So I think there's actually a lot of merit in what you're suggesting. Offering a kind of condensed, focused 3-month foundational course in Wing Chun or any martial art can give people a solid taste of the core principles. It's like giving them the building blocks so they have something strong to stand on, but in a time frame that feels achievable and motivating. Then if they want to go deeper, they can. If they want to explore other styles, they'll still have that strong intro under their belt. So no, I don't think it's necessarily too short if it's done well. It's all about quality over quantity. And if that approach helps keep the next generation engaged and gives them a solid starting point, then it can be a great way to go.
In my time, everybody consider martial art is just fighting. But even when I was a young man, I know it's for my health because when I was young, I was very unhealthy. I have asthma and I did breathing, I get better. And that's why I believe that martial art is for health, finally. So, but to prove an art, especially nowadays thinking, people just want to fight and win. And then they say the art is good. Is that the right approach to most people?
You're touching on such an important point, and I completely agree with your perspective. Martial arts, at their heart, are about so much more than just fighting and winning matches. They're about health, personal growth, and well being. It's really inspiring that you found that benefit for your health, and that's a set of martial arts that often gets overlooked. In today's world, there is a lot of focus on competition and proving which art is the most effective in a ring. And while that can be one measure of effectiveness, it's definitely not the only one, and it's not always the right approach for everyone. Martial arts have always been about the whole person, mind, body, and spirit. They teach discipline, they build confidence, and they improve health, just like you experienced with your asthma. So I'd say the true measure of a martial art isn't just about who can win a fight, it's about how it enriches your life and your health. If we can help people see that side of it, how martial arts can be a lifelong journey of wellness and growth, then we're really honoring the full value of the art.
I see. I mean, I'm 71 now. I've been doing martial arts all my life since I was 5 years old. The question is, I still get people asking me, can I fight? I mean, in the ring, I mean, obviously at 71, I would not take that risk fighting in the ring, which I had when I was much, much younger. But I'm sure I can defend myself if someone attacked me because of all these years of training. So why do people still think that martial art have to be just fighting?
You know, first of all, it's amazing that you've had a lifetime of martial arts experience and that you're still so passionate about it at 71. That's truly inspiring. And you're absolutely right. At this stage, stepping into a ring isn't really the point, and it's not necessary to prove anything. You've got decades of experience that have given you the skills and the confidence to know that you can protect yourself if you ever needed to. As for why people still think martial arts are all about fighting, well, it's probably partly cultural and partly what they see in the media. Movies, competitions, and sports often highlight the fighting aspect because it's exciting and dramatic. But the deeper truth, which you know well, is that martial arts are a lifelong journey of self-improvement, health, and personal mastery. It's about what it does for you as a whole person, not just how well you can compete. So in the end, you're living proof that martial arts are about so much more than just fighting. And hopefully sharing that perspective helps others see the bigger picture too.
So how can I imagine that one young student comes into my class and they want to fight on the first day? How can I stop that? Because they probably have done karate or taekwondo or whatever style they've done, or they just want to test the master. Is that the right way to go to a school to learn from a teacher?
Yeah, that's a scenario a lot of teachers run into, and it's definitely something you can handle with a mix of understanding and guidance. When a young student walks in, eager to fight on day one, it's often because they have a certain image of martial arts from movies or other styles they've tried. They might just want to test themselves or see what you can do. The best way to approach it is with patience and a bit of gentle education. You can acknowledge their enthusiasm, but explain that real martial arts training is about building a foundation first. Let them know that before anyone spars or tests themselves, they need to understand the basics: structure, control, and respect. That way you're setting the tone that it's not about proving anything on day one, it's about learning and growing safely. In other words, you can gently guide them to see that testing the teacher isn't really the right approach. Instead, encourage them to channel that energy into becoming a well-rounded martial artist. That way you're not just stopping them, you're showing them a better path forward.
So how can, with so many so-called master and grandmaster nowadays, how can we tell the difference? As a beginner, I want to learn Wing Chun, and there's so many masters advertised everywhere. How can I find a real person who truly can help me? I mean, not just for fighting, to improve myself as a human being, or get myself fit, or get myself, disciplined, which maybe I'm an undisciplined person. So how can I find a good teacher who doesn't abuse the student? That's my question.
Absolutely. That's such an important question, and it's something a lot of beginners wonder about because the landscape is full of different instructors out there. So here are a few tips to help you find a genuinely good teacher who will help you grow not just in fighting, but as a whole person. First, look for a teacher who emphasizes the holistic side of martial arts. When you meet them or visit their school, notice if they talk about discipline, health, and personal growth, not just combat. A good instructor will make it clear that martial arts are about building character and lifelong skills, not just winning fights. Second, observe how they treat their students. A great teacher is respectful, patient, and doesn't shepherd their ego. They create a safe and welcoming environment where students feel supported. You can often get a feel for this by watching a class or even talking to other students. Third, trust your instincts. If a teacher sees you as more interested in showing off than in helping you learn, or if something doesn't feel right, it's okay to keep looking. The night teacher will be someone who genuinely wants to see you grow in all aspects, physically, mentally, and as a person. So take your time, maybe visit a few schools, and choose a teacher who resonates with the values you're looking for. It's your journey, and the right teacher will make all the difference.
Oh, thank you. I mean, when I was young, I traveled all over the world, and I went to the Shaolin Temple. And a lot of monks, or young students, some are not monks, who train the thousands of them. But some just train the forms, some train the techniques. But there are a group of monks who just train specifically for fighting. So I asked the abbot, why? He said, everyone is different. Everyone's taste is different, right? Some people want to learn for health. Some people just want to learn for discipline. But some people just want to learn to fight in the ring. So the training is different. Should I explain to the student that martial art is not just about fighting, it's about whoever comes into the door and feel what they want to become by training the martial art, what's their goal. If they really want to train in the ring, then they have to be trained completely training. The Wing Chun system have to break down into a different way. Am I right to say that?
Absolutely, you're spot on with that approach. I think it's a great idea to explain to your students that martial arts can be tailored to different goals. Everyone walks in the door with their own reasons. Some are there for health, some for discipline, and yes, some might really want to train specifically for competitive fighting. It's all about understanding their personal goals and then guiding them along the right path. So you're absolutely right to say that if someone wants to fight in the ring, their training will look a bit different. You might need to break down the Wing Chun system in a way that's more focused on that specific kind of conditioning and sparring. On the other hand, if someone's there for fitness or self-discipline, you can focus more on forms, mindfulness, and overall well-being. In essence, it's all about communication. Let your students know that martial arts are a versatile journey and that you're there to help them find the path that's right for them. It's a great way to honor each individual's goals.
So what I'm saying that is that the future of martial art, not just Wing Chun, in any type of martial art, because I think that everyone have the different goals and different perspective in the martial art and different gain that they want. So I think for over the past years in the world that there is a lot of misunderstanding and miscommunication in the martial art. What do you think?
I think you're absolutely right, and that's a really thoughtful way to look at the future of martial arts as a whole. Everyone does have different goals and different reasons for stepping into training, and that diversity is a strength. It means that martial arts can be many things to many people. So yes, over the years, there have definitely been misunderstandings and sometimes a one-size-fits-all mindset about what martial arts should be, but the truth is, it's a broad and flexible path. Looking forward, the future of martial arts can really be about embracing that variety, helping each student find their own path and their own reason for training. Whether it's for self-defense, health, personal discipline, or competition, it's all valid. And by recognizing that, we can clear up those misunderstandings and make martial arts more inclusive and adaptable for everyone.
Okay, understand that. So I think the future is going to be like this. That is very good. I mean, I've been doing martial art for 50 years. Wing Chun had the glory days in the 70s and 80s because of the Bruce Lee. But since then, I've seen it go down. The teaching has gone down, the standard has gone down, and everyone teaches what they want to teach. I know it's a free world and everyone can do what they want. Do you think that the people should come back to the core principle of Wing Chun, like practicing the form in the correct way so they get a foundation before, as I said, before they explore other style? Yes, I would like to have your insight.
Absolutely, and I really appreciate your perspective on that because having seen the evolution of Wing Chun over so many decades, you've got a lot of wisdom to share. And I do think there's a lot of value in coming back to those core principles. The forms, the foundational training, and the traditional approach are what give Wing Chun its depth and its effectiveness. When students really understand those fundamentals, they have a much stronger base to build on, whether they stay with Wing Chun or explore their styles later. So yes, I think encouraging people to return to the core principles and really honor the traditional training is a great idea. Doesn't mean they can't adapt or evolve, but having that solid foundation ensures that the art retains its quality and depth. And I think that's how we keep the true spirit of Wing Chun alive, even as it continues to grow in the modern world.
I see. I mean, is there any question you want to ask me?
Absolutely. absolutely. I'd love to ask you something. You've shared so much about your experience and your journey, and it's really fascinating. So I'm curious, after all these years of training and teaching, what's the one piece of wisdom or the core lesson that you hope to pass on to your students or to the next generation of martial artists?
The most important thing that training Wing Chun is patience. And obviously, if you have patience, because the body takes time to absorb all these memories that you have. It's like when you grow a tree, it doesn't grow within weeks, it takes years to grow, right? So the same thing, the human body. I think a lot of people out there are impatient. They rush to be the master. How many months or how many years? They rush, they want to go to the top of the mountain within one day. But to me, I think it's a journey. The journey that is one that inspires me, the ups and downs, the pain, the loss, the victory, whatever it is. When I look back at my age, it was amazing. That is a journey.
That's such a beautiful and profound piece of wisdom, and I think it really captures the heart of what martial arts or any long-term practice is all about. Patience is key, and the idea of it being a journey rather than a race is so important. It's like you said, you can't grow a tree overnight, and the true beauty of martial arts is in that lifelong process, the ups, the downs, the growth that happens along the way. So thank you for sharing that. I think it's a really inspiring message for anyone who's on this path.
Thank you for coming on our podcast. Hopefully we'll have more. And I would say thank you to everybody. I just turn you around and just say bye-bye to the audience.
Absolutely. It was such a pleasure to be part of this podcast with you. Thank you for having me, and thanks to everyone listening. It's been a wonderful chat, and I'm looking forward to more conversations in the future. So goodbye to everyone out there, and take care.
Take care. Well, there you have it, my friend, ChatGPT. The first AI Wing Chun conversation. It's amazing what she knows about Wing Chun, more than a lot of people, and how open she was about martial art. So we should be like that too, right? So I'll see you in the next video.